Good morning. Oh, there's already a couple of you here. I'm so glad to see you. Um, Thank you for joining today. Uh, what is the point of our life? It's kind of the theme that we're going with here as we look at Shitou's poem, The Song of the Grassroot Hermitage. Uh, it starts with, I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. I've built a grass hut. I've built this life. As we come into a new year, we have a new opportunity to look at our lives, to look at ourselves, to look at this existence, and make a choice of how we want to live, who we want to be, right? What feels right in my body, um, what feels right for myself, what doesn't feel right in my body, what doesn't feel right in myself. And how do we know what's right? That's where this sitting, the practice of getting in the body and becoming curious becomes the tool by which to live, right? To live in our integrity, which is in our body. Just like an architectural integrity, right? The soundness of the building is in its foundation and its internal scaffolding, as well as the spaciousness within which you can live in the building. This is why I always come back to integrity in all of my work. When you're in your integrity, you're alive. You're at peace with yourself in the midst of this often not peaceful existence, right? So we build up these lives. We build these grass huts, right? Made of so many little pieces and strands of our existence, of our connections, of our wants and our fears. We build this grass hut, but none of it actually has value, right? As I alluded to in last week's class, value is arbitrary, right? Value comes, value goes. Value is something that's assigned, it's not intrinsic. So you can choose value. It's not inherent, right? So we often seek to value ourselves, to value life, because when we're out of integrity, we can often feel like nothing matters, nothing has any value. But that's the other extreme. Overvalue or undervalue, you're in extremes, you're in the mind. Value is ultimately an idea, a construct. Shitou and all of these wisdom teachers are pushing us towards no value, towards impermanence and emptiness, not only because that's the reality of things, because that is the reality. You know, any value that we can construct in our mind and place upon things is empty. And all of this is empty, right? None of this lasts long enough to be anything, right? Just because the fractals of times of our life, 70 or 80 years for most of us, if we're lucky, can almost feel long. In reality, time is also a construct. We are time. The Zen teacher Dogen, we are time being. We are being time. We are time. You're not separate from time. And all time is now. Right? And this is what we also know from physics as well as from philosophy. So why this push to no value if it could lead to some almost nihilistic emptiness that feels like a void? That's not the no value. That's not the empty that they're pointing to. They're speaking of how if everything is movement, nothing ever is static enough to be something forever. It's moving and changing, right? And if I stop it in this definition of it, I've petrified it there And now it's dead. Now it can't move on, at least in my mind, because I have it stuck here. Right? Here's the thing, it's already moved on. It's already moving. It is moving. This is all movement. Right? So if I put value on something or someone, I am actually stymieing myself. It's actually the source of my suffering. Right? That's why they push, not only because it's the reality that things don't have intrinsic value and that they're ultimately impermanent and empty, but because actually it's in that, for lack of a better word, transcendence of value, of meaning, of purpose, that we actually can get a deeper connection to things. That all of a sudden, this glass jar and the water in it that hydrates me, they become magic, right? In the sense of awe, in the awe that is our moment by moment existence. And all of these wisdom teachers are just trying to help us to see through our ideas, through our thoughts, through our constructs, to live in the more, to live more deeply connected. We are all going to die. Everyone you know and love will die. Everything you create at some point will be dust. This does not mean we stop creating. This does not mean we stop living. In fact, this is the gate to a deeper creative, right? A deeper life, right? If you get stuck in nihilism, in nothing matters, well, now you're stuck again in your head and you've left your life. You've self-abandoned, right? And it's as much as getting stuck in everything matters. Hedonism, right? You've also left your life. If you keep seeking externally for the next stimulus, the next sense of aliveness externally, you are life. You don't have to seek it externally. In fact, you cannot seek it externally. It is within you, right? And this is why these teachings are so important to me and why I want to share them. Because these are the seeds of a deeply and well-lived life. And they're the seeds of a deeply well-lived, deeply connected life that are connected to pain, to suffering, to loss, to death. Because paradoxically, it's actually in the deep connection to pain, suffering, loss, and death that life and freedom and ease and joy becomes second nature. They become habit. I was actually just prior to this, just on with a client, and he was talking about, but it's hard. This is work, right? And I gave this stupid example because it's all I could come up with in the moment of, so when I was a little kid, when I was 3 years old, my mom put me in tap dance classes. So I've been studying tap. Well, I studied it from like when I was 3 to about 21, right? I was actively taking tap classes. So the habit of tap dancing is like in my feet. I will notice that if I'm by myself, specifically in elevators for some reason, I start like, there's some little steps that my feet just start doing. It is so easy for me to get rhythm out of my feet. It's second nature. It's easy. And I said, I said to him, if we were given the ultimatum that right now, you and I, my client and I, right, we had to do a tap off for our lives, and whoever won lived and whoever failed died, I'd win. Because tapping would be easy for me. And tapping would be hard for you. Tapping is only easy for me because it's a habit that I trained over decades. At some point I was going to classes, like by the time I got into middle school and high school, like I was taking classes 5 days a week in dance, right? Dance became a body habit for me, so then dance became easy. This work that we're doing here might seem hard just because it's not a habit yet. Being in your body, being with reality, might feel like suffering because our society tells us that that's weak or not useful, or I don't know what. We've gotten all into the head. So the things that are easy for us are to just go to the mind, to get stuck in the mind, to try to figure it out, fix it, solve it, know it, all in the mind, completely disconnected from the body. So I don't know that it's easy or hard to do this work. It's just, what's a habit? What's a habit? Whatever you make a habit, whether it's tap dancing or being in your body and feeling both the joy and the pain, it's easy if it's a habit. It's hard if it's new and different. Just like tap dancing for my client earlier would have sucked and been really hard. But for me, it would have been weirdly easy. There's no better or worse here. There's no right or wrong. It's just what's a habit. There's no hard or easy. It's just what's a habit. Our brains are wired for safety and security to go towards what they know, to go towards what's predictable. We will self-sabotage to keep things predictable because the brain knows what to do in a predictive place. This is the very first video I did when I first did my first YouTube live, and I was so nervous that I was literally shaking as I spoke. I'm not shaking now. This time I was able to pre-program the live last night and get it to start on time because I knew where to go in the thing and I knew how to press the buttons, and it's becoming a habit for me. I feel more comfortable with you here now going live, even though I don't know who's on and I don't know what's happening out there and I don't know what's being perceived or who's seeing me or anything. Because this is becoming a habit. I've been teaching myself I'm going to do it every week, right? Until it becomes second nature. It's not second nature yet doing this for me. No. But it's becoming. You see someone who's great at this. They've just done it for a long time. It's second nature. What I'm pushing here, what I'm trying to sell you on, is living your life becoming second nature. And that has nothing to do with purity or perfection. But it has everything to do with being wherever it is you are. And now we get into the next bit. To be wherever you are requires not knowing. Because this moment is unknown. It's not that I don't know it. It itself is unknown. And it's not even like I can find it out. It's not even like we can understand these things, understand ourselves. It's beyond our perceptive abilities. There's a great YouTube video. We're on YouTube. There's Donald Hoffman has a TED Talk, and I referenced it in last week's class. It's just, if you Google Donald Hoffman TED, it's a real TED Talk because he's an actual scientist. It's not one of those TEDx, like someone just preaching their stuff things. It's a real TED Talk. He was curated because of, he's backed his work up with science. And in this talk, it is almost petrifying and so freeing how he, via science, explains we don't have the perceptive capacity to even perceive what this is. Everything that we think we see is just a filter that, for whatever this existence is, has given us, that's the way to say it, to be fit, to have fitness to survive, right? We know that dogs and bugs perceive colors, sounds, and wavelengths that we can't even hear, see, perceive. We don't have the angle of our eyes or the whatever in our ears, right? When I say that this isn't something that you can figure out, I mean it. It is beyond finding out. It is beyond our perceptive ability. So if you go back to this poem, and it's in the description of this video, so you can just scroll down and it's right there, the Song in the Grassroot Hermitage. I've built a grass hut where there's nothing of value. I've built this life, this beautiful life, this little grass hut, and there's nothing of value here. I've just built it, and I'm going to keep building it, just for the sake of living and building. Nowhere to arrive, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. After eating, I relax. I enjoy a nap. Nothing to achieve here. When it was completed, when I got this whole thing built and completed, when I finally got to that perfect spot of being this enlightened Zen master, because Shitou is one of the granddaddies of Zen, so to speak, right? Fresh weeds appeared. Isn't that beautiful? Fresh weeds appeared, new weeds, always new weeds. Right? You don't get to some perfect place because there's no perfection. It's just living. As I spoke 2 weeks ago when we were talking about integrity, in the second book of the Tao, we were doing chapter 64, which talks about integrity. And it starts with, integrity is our true nature. Arriving at integrity is the work of a lifetime, because arriving is the work of a lifetime. Because our lives are arriving in the now, and the now, and the now. And all those nows I just talked about, they're gone. I will never get them back. And the way I perceive them and the way you perceive them is different. So neither of our perceptions are true. There is no truth. Don't believe me, please, with any of this stuff. Just a caveat. If I forget to say it every class, I apologize. Do not believe me. Do not believe these Zen masters. Don't believe anyone or anything. Check it out for yourself. If it's useful for you, if it points you to look inwards in a new way, excellent. Only you know what's right for yourself in your integrity. With that caveat said, arriving at integrity is the work of a lifetime, because I'm always arriving. I arrive here, that's gone, I'm arriving again, and arriving again, and again. This is the beauty of our existence, right? It's movement. We are movement, right? And it's in a deep connection to the movement that is us, which is why we sit. That's why we do the practice, right? Because all my talking is just words. It's like talking about doing push-ups. Until you and I get on the floor and do them, this doesn't matter. But if talking about it opens you up to actually getting on the floor and describes right form for you so you can practice and gives you inspiration to do it, good. But then you must sit, right? Because that's how you begin to live this in reality. You cannot get out of your mind by being in your mind. You can't get out of your mind by thinking about getting out of your mind. You're still in your mind. Right? Think about it. You can't get out of your mind. If you want to get out of your mind, sit, right? I'm on my little cushion. I'm sitting. Before I press the go live button, I sit for a few minutes. I just breathe. I come back into my body. I can't get into my body unless I practice being in my body. And just like my client earlier couldn't tap dance if he tried because he'd never practiced it, but I can do it like second nature. The more you practice, the more it becomes second nature. This is why I practice sitting every day. It's why I've made it my career. Because the more I sit, the more I live. And then when I build this grass hut that has nothing of value, I can just eat my meal and relax, enjoy a nap. And when everything is complete and new weeds appear, I can relax and enjoy a nap. I can live. That's what all this is about. That's why I do this. so I can live, and hopefully others can as well. When it was completed, fresh weeds appeared. Now it's been lived in, covered by weeds. That's why I just love Shitou, right? Like he built up this grass hut, and he realized there's nothing of value in everything he built. And now the weeds can just be there. The weeds of anger, of shame, of pain, of loss, of joy, of desire, of creativity. Okay, it's there. I live it. I feel I want to pluck that one out. Great. I feel I want to put that one in a vase. Great. I feel I just want to ignore it. Fine. This is different from abdication and ignorance in the fact that he's completely awake and alive to it. He's completely embodied. If you're in your head and just like, I can't take it and avoidant, you're not alive. Remember, his whole point of doing this work, my whole point of doing this work, is to live alive, connected, in reality, right? So there is a difference here, and it comes down to this practice that we do each Thursday. And to that note, this Thursday and next Thursday, there will be no Zoom class. I'm going on a little trip, and I'm not going to teach while I'm away. And also next Tuesday, there'll be no live Zoom because I'll be on my little trip. I will probably put, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm just north.scale on Instagram. If you follow me there, I will probably post some pictures as much as I try to make that a professional account. I'm not a very good Instagrammer, and it's mostly just my personal life. So, and the occasional occasional repost of someone else's content who I'm like, ooh, this is good and on point for what we're doing. So I'll just repost someone else's stuff because on Instagram, I'm lazy. Those are my weeds, and that's fine. I like YouTube. YouTube feels very comfortable for me, so I do that. If at some point I get into being all zen-y on Instagram, then you'll get more of that. We'll see. Doesn't matter. I don't care. These weeds that he's covered in, he's awake and alive to them. Okay? And that's the whole point. That's it. And that's all I wish for you in 2024, is to be awake and alive to your life. To be in your integrity, not some external moral, ethical, value ideal that's been placed on you, but your integrity, your truth, your sense of self, your self-possession, your connection to yourself. That's what I wish for you for 2024, that you can live moment by moment alive, arriving. I wish for you that you can arrive in every moment of 2024, no matter what it offers, whether it's joy or pain, but that you can be there, not attached, because you can't be attached, because it's moving. When you're still and present and embodied, you really begin to witness how much all of this is movement, how you are time. So then an emotion like anger or pain is no longer scary because it's not permanent. It's impermanent. It's empty. And it's real. This moment might be empty, but it's not nihilistic because it's real. I'm here. I'm alive. And the more connected I am, the more I live. And that connection just comes through practice. And the practice is sitting. I have older videos from when I first started this chapter, and at some point they will come down because I'm going to remake a lot of this content at some point once I'm more settled into my new home and have some other things settled. I'm going to recreate a lot of the old stuff. But, if you want the basics of how to sit and some more basic teaching, those videos are a bit longer, but they're up there. Like, use them while they're there. And practice. Practice. I'm sitting with you. Even if I'm not sitting with you in person for the next week, the next class will be here on YouTube on January 23rd at 11:40 Eastern Time in the morning. And then the next Zoom will be January 25th Thursday at 11:40 as well. Both are about 20-minute classes. Usually, knowing me, I go about 25 minutes. But do ask me questions, right? Push back, give me your comments, your insights, your reflections, because they're valuable and they're real. All right, so that's the first full stanza of this poem. The next class, we'll go into the second stanza a little bit more deeply. The person in the hut lives here calmly, not stuck. I'll give my reflections. Hopefully we'll actually do the next two stanzas in the next class. But this is a beautiful, beautiful poem, and it's in the description below. You can read it. You can Google it. You can get Sensei Ben Connolly's book. He's an incredible teacher, and this book is great. Each chapter is one line of the poem and his thoughts and reflections. But just like me, don't believe him. Find your own, right? But he's brilliant and connected, and one of the most profound Zen retreats I've ever had the opportunity, the luck to go on was with him hiking through the Rocky Mountains in Montana in silence with a small group of other Zen practitioners, where our meditation was moving, hiking in silence day after day, seeing life and death in each moment, and realizing that they don't exist when you can see them like that. And that's where this connection to the emptiness, to the no value, becomes invaluable, because there's a life there when you get beyond the mind. That's tremendous. And that's what I wish for you for 2024. Thank you all for being here. So grateful. Last note, I noticed when I did the edit on last week's video that there was comments from people. I know Barbara and Kristen, you guys said hi. I didn't see them. So if anyone's commenting today and I'm not seeing it, I will see it when I do the edit. I can't edit it for 24 hours. So you get like the raw version, the raw cut, the first 24 hours. For some reason, I can't edit lives until it's been up for 24 hours. It's fine. But right now, I don't see any comments. If people have commented, said hi, or asked questions, I'm just not seeing anything right now. I will see it in the edit, and if there's questions, I'll put my response in the comment to you. And if I have your email or contact info, maybe I'll try to actually email you personally if it's a real profound question that needs a little bit more connection. Otherwise, I apologize. Oh, okay. I got a comment. Thank you so much, Kirsten. We'll order inside the grass hut right now. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. And Sensei Ben Connolly, if you're ever in Minnesota Zen Center, go see him. And once a year, he does this incredible Zen hiking trip through Montana. You do have to have Zen experience and hiking experience to do it. So, get on your mat and practice and start hiking so you can do it with him, because was one of the most profound experiences of my life. With that, super grateful. Good to know that I'm seeing the comments. And thank you guys. Thank you all for being here. I'm so grateful. This is fun for me. And wishing you moment by moment a great 2 weeks, and I'll see you on the 23rd. Thanks. Bye.